achieve today to excel tomorrow. Today's achievement is conversions. We'll be converting numbers back and forth between a decimal, a percent, and a fraction. We're going to begin with a decimal. So if we have a decimal number, let's say our decimal number is 0.7, okay? To make that a fraction, we want to read the decimal number in the place value that it is. This is 7/10. We would say that as 7/10. That's what fraction it is, 7/10. That's how we convert decimals. If it was 0.03, that is 3/100. So that's what fraction it is, 3/100. Only thing you need to remember is if it turns out where you need to reduce it, be sure to reduce it. If it's 0.6, that's 6/10, which is in turn divided by 2, 3/5 as your final answer. Okay, decimal to percent, super easy. Think of alphabetically, when you're going from decimal to percent, you're going to the right. So if you have a decimal number, go right 2 places, 1, 2. 0.7 is 70%. 0.67 is 67%. What if I had 1.15? I still just moved my decimal twice, 115%. If I have 0.0235, move my decimal twice, 2.35%. Simply put, you move your decimal to the right twice to make a decimal to a percent. Come over to percent, just the opposite. If we have a percent to a decimal, think alphabetically, D to P, we're going to the left. So if we have 17%, we're taking our decimal 2 to the left. If we have 115%, we're taking our decimal 2 places to the left. We have 1.7%, 0.17. We're taking it 2 places to the left. Percent to decimal, simply move it 2 places to the left. If we have a percent to a fraction, it's generally easy to make it a decimal first. We've taken 17% and made it 0.17. We just learned that's 17/100. Okay. We can say 115% is 1.15. That's 1 15/100, which would be reduced to 1 3/20. So percent to fraction, usually best to make it a decimal first, then to the fraction. Lastly, we have fraction to decimal and percent. Fraction to decimal, such as 3/4. We're going to take the top number, put it in the house, and divide. Fraction, decimal, decimal. 4 times 7, 4 times 5. 3/4 is 0.75. We sometimes think of these, I tell my students to think of these as a horse and rider. If you can't remember which goes on top and bottom, the rider goes in the house, the horse stays outside the house. Decimal, decimal. 0.2. 1/5 is 0.2. To make a fraction a percent, we first make it a decimal. And remember, from a decimal to a percent, decimal to percent to the right. So 3/4 becomes 0.75, which becomes 75%. 1/5 becomes 0.2, which becomes 20%, because we're moving it twice. This is converting all of our numbers back and forth. So be sure to achieve today to excel tomorrow.